I have with me Dr. S. Malini. Dr. Malini, thank you so much for joining us here on Times Now and in your very first television interview. Let me begin by asking you, ma'am, in this particular case of Aaftab that, is the talk of the nation. The court has given permission for a narco test. In the instant case, do you see the narco test being important from the point of view of investigation?
Yes, definitely. This will help us to identify those aspects which are not come to the surface yet. Like for example, the skull region where he has hidden, or any of the weapons, exactly the same weapon he has used, or any other weapons, or any other information. Were there any associates for him, or what is the motive behind this? And from when he was planning all these can be surfaced when he is subjected to narco analysis. And I say that it is a humane method of extracting the information from the person, from non-cooperative sources.
Also, ma'am, in this instant case of Aaftab, if I can just bring you to that. Now, from what we understand is that there are multiple versions that Aaftab has told the investigators or the police about as far as this entire case is concerned. How do you see, as you mentioned earlier, the murder weapon, the skull, all of these could be clinchers in solving the case. How do you see the narco test helping in that regard?
It will help him from where did he get the weapon from, where he has hidden the weapon, if he has hidden the weapon, or which part of the forest that he has disposed the skull, or what exactly is the motive behind this. Was there any plan previously? From where did he purchase the weapon from? Was there anybody who has guided him? Has he taken any help from any other person other than himself? So all this information, what was the reason for him to go to that extreme? Was she causing was there any problem between them? All this will be very useful in extracting them through narco analysis test.
Right. Ma'am, and in your view, individuals such as this who are well educated, who may be articulate and who may in fact have a tendency to deceive the investigators, in that sense, narco can in fact play an important role in actually breaking the roadblocks that the investigation may have reached. Would you say that?
Definitely, because the person cannot control. When the drugs start entering into his body, the brain started disseminating in the body, it is not possible for him to control. It is beyond his control. There is no voluntary control. He enters into a trance state, he has to reveal the information. Whether he is an educated person, because in so many cases, the people before subjecting for narco analysis, they have subjected themselves for narco analysis, they have been tutored, they have been trained. When you enter into a trance state, you have to reveal only this information. So there are so many people who have undergone training and they have come to the narco analysis to us. So during that stage, they cannot hold the information, and there is no voluntary control. He starts revealing the information when you exactly identify the trance stage and start asking them the information related to the case.
Right. And one of the aspects that many are looking at is, particularly given the fact that there was a complaint letter written by the victim, in this case Shraddha, that she's being threatened with physical violence, that Aaftab has allegedly threatened to chop her into pieces. All of this raises the question about whether this is premeditated or whether it happened in the heat of the moment, because Aaftab has told the court that whatever happened at that moment happened in the heat of the moment. Could the narco shed more light on that aspect?
Definitely, because she has already written that. He says that it is heat of the moment, but how did she come to know that he will have that type of plan at the heat of the moment? She has already written that. So when did he plan, from how long he has been planning, and what was the reason to plan like that? Why did he go to that extreme stage of cutting her into pieces? All this will be whether he has some sadistic approach, whether he enjoyed. There are so many people who used to say that they used to enjoy the gush of blood. So whether he has that type of tendency in his brain to see the blood flowing out of the body. So all this can be identified through narco analysis.
Right, and this is very important where you mentioned these sadistic tendencies, because Shraddha has told her friends, she has told her family members or how she was beaten up time and again. Doctors have testified that she came bruised to them for treatment. There are pictures of her with all sorts of marks on her face, on her nose, so on and so forth. So this could display a tendency of an individual to carry out such acts of violence in the past also, and that is very important to establish how this tendency of violence in this particular individual began, particularly whether it was just related to this case or even outside.
Yes, whether it is his personality problem, whether he had this tendency from the very beginning, whether he has nurtured it and he has grown that tendency in himself, all that will be very easy to identify through narco analysis.
Right.
So, or any other cases he has committed like this. We have seen some cases where they have butchered the dogs even before conducting the trial for humans. So this also can be brought to the surface.
Right. Ma'am, there's also a theory that, perhaps Aaftab could have been intoxicated at the time of committing the act. Will that in any way impinge on the narco if he is asked to imagine or rebuild those moments which led up to the actual act?
See, for polygraph and brain mapping, if a person is intoxicated at the time of committing crime, may not be very easy to extract the information. Whereas in narco, those who are drug addict or those who are had alcohol addiction, it is very easy to extract the information. They go to the same site of brain where the alcohol also functions. So it is very easy to extract the information when at the time of committing the crime, whether they have intoxicated or they have a habit of consuming alcohol while committing such crime. All this information can be extracted.